How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to do my sort of annual going over of my hunting setup for this coming season. Kind of tell you some of the choices that I've made and why I make them. Maybe give you guys some ideas as well. Okay, so like I said, this is kind of my annual discussion of what I plan on using this season, why I plan on using it, what I've chosen, and any specific reasons of why I'm choosing to use what I have. So I guess the easiest way to go about this would be just to kind of start with one thing and kind of work through. So let's start with arrows. So arrows wise, I'm not really married to any one thing as far as brand, but I am a fan of carbon arrows. Quite frankly, even out of my self bow, I really like the way even these arrows fly. They're consistent. They're just a more forgiving arrow. And for somebody like me, I'm perfectly capable of tuning things to the nth degree, and I have. I've been the guy that has taken 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch off of arrows to get them to bear shaft and tune right and all that. I've done all that stuff, but where I'm at now, I'm just looking for arrows that fly true, they fly consistent, they're very near identical from one to the next. I've done spine aligning on arrows before. I've done weight matching and components and points. A lot of you guys would be pretty surprised at how scientific I've gotten in past years over arrows and arrow building. But I've actually kind of simplified things back down. And for me, simplifying things looks like carbon. A lot of guys like wood arrows, and I've tried wood arrows, and if I'm being totally honest with you, I just don't have the confidence in them. That's not because I don't think they're durable. To me, they're a different animal. Their consistency wavers. I have arrows, wood arrows that are the same spine, the same, within 5 grains in shaft weight overall, and some arrows, in order to tune, if I was to, let's say, bear shaft, which is what I would feel most comfortable doing, my experience with wood arrows, a half a dozen wood arrows, several of them are going to fly different. The grain structure, the grains are a little bit tighter or more open. Just because they spine the same, there's just different variables at play when it comes to wood shafts. To the guys that do it and have great success to it, I commend you. I'm not against wood arrows. I still plan on using wood arrows. But going into this season, and by and by, just the consistency of carbon, I have a lot of faith in it. For me, I'm all about reusing the same arrows for as long as humanly possible. And I get a lot of use out of, all my carbon arrows. So I'm using Easton Carbon Legacy. These are the 6.5 millimeter. These are the just standard 246, I believe, diameter. These are 400 spine. Honestly, with this bow, I could probably stand to have 500 spine. These are borderline running on the stiff side. But this same exact arrow, same weight, actually I have to shoot just a little bit more weight out of this. That's why I say they're a little stiff. Within reason, all I have to do is swap from 250 grain points or 225 grain points that I'm using on this bow to 200 grain, and it works in several of my other bows. This bow being a hill bow and cut so far outside of center, I had to up it to 225 grain points. and all that with 50 grain brass inserts. So on average, I'm running 250 to 275 grains up front on these arrows. Total arrow weight is somewhere around 580 grains. I have had a lot of luck because I shoot carbon, because I shoot an arrow that's just overall heavy, and I do shoot well over 250 grains up front. I'm not extreme FOC, but very reasonable. I've had a lot of luck with this. I have full pass-throughs on almost every deer that I've shot. So this particular bow, I'm shooting 50 pounds. Generally, I'm shooting around 47. And I've had no problem getting pass-throughs with this weight because I shoot an overall heavy arrow. There's a lot of tests that have been done to prove that an arrow that's overall heavy is way more important than FOC. These arrows are 9.3 grains per inch. Really, all these arrows in this class, your Black Eagle Vintage, Great Arrow, Gold Tip traditionals, like the Blims and stuff like that, just the regular old Gold Tip traditionals, about that same GPI, the Easton Carbon Legacies, all those arrows are kind of in the same price and quality range and kind of the same class of arrow. So what I end up with is an almost 600 grain total arrow weight with only 250, 275 grains up front. Most of that weight is coming from the overall heavy arrow, which is what I'm getting at. So these are just what I like. These are what I use and what I'll probably continue to use. As far as fletchings, there are going to be feathers this year. I shot feathers last year, and I've been pretty pleased with just going back to feathers for the sake of money. I bought these pre-fletched, but I make my own fletchings out of turkey feathers. So fletchings cost me nothing when I refletch arrows and whenever I fletch my arrows now. Whereas trad vanes, they're incredible product, but they're pricey. Feathers are pricey. Broadheads, I love my Zwickeys. I started using Zwickeys last year and I've been very pleased. Durability and all, I don't question the reliability of these. I would shoulder shoot a deer with these and have no problem. These have been tried and true. They're reinforced in the areas where it matters. The ferrule is reinforced, the tip is reinforced. So yeah, even though they're stamped metal or whatever, they're tough, they hold an edge, and they just work. These are always file sharp. And like I said, they sung through every deer I shot last year. No problem whatsoever. These, I believe, are Deltas, Delta 2 blades. I've gone back and forth, and I'm going back to 2 blades. Blood trails could be better by using like a 3 blade, or I've used No Mercies with the Zwickey No Mercy with the bleeders. Those were okay, but they're hard to sharpen unless you have a different sharpener than what I normally use. I like just having a 2 blade that I can touch up with a file on ceramic rods the way that I normally do, and the penetration factor is pretty hard to beat with just a 2 blade broadhead. I've been really pleased with the Zwickey Deltas and No Mercy 2 blades. This year I'm going to be using Eskimos. The grain weights come out to be about the same. I like the profile of the Eskimo, and I like the profile of these too. But overall, sticking with Zwickey 2 blades, whether Eskimos or Deltas, that's pretty well what I'm sticking with. As far as tabs or whatever, this is a homemade tab that I've had for a couple years. I really like, or maybe about a year. I really like this tab. It's the right thickness and everything. I like a thin tab. But if I'm not using this, as you guys know, I like using Standing Wolf archery tabs. Ron is a friend of mine, and he's been good to me, so I do like his tabs. All right, quiver. This is a new one for this year. This is pretty easy for you guys to tell what it is. This is a Creek Walker Trading Company bell quiver from Donnie Wilkerson. I'll tell you what, guys, I've never owned one of these before. These are beautiful quivers. Donnie makes a beautiful quiver. The wood that was used on this, I can't remember what he said wood-wise was on this, but it's just beautiful, and it's elegant. It goes beautifully with the bow. These quivers would go beautifully with any bow that you put them on. And he makes so many variations of them. He makes some semblance of a bolt-on quivers if you guys have tapped risers. And then, of course, the strap-on and the profile that he makes this in. And he sells a shoulder strap kit that you can get, or you can make one to where you could unstrap this, strap it on, attach it to a leather strap, and use this as a side quiver, which I may very well do, depending on how I'm hunting. But they're just beautiful quivers. It's elegant, it's tough, it doesn't move, it's attached so well, it's quiet, and I'm very pleased with it. So Donnie, if you're watching this video, beautiful quiver, brother, thank you. And you guys need to go get you a quiver from Donnie at Creekwalker Trading. You will not be disappointed. Now moving on to the bow. As you can see, this is a hill style longbow. It's got a Shadoa riser, and I believe like a black myrtle or some type of like a tiger myrtle. It's a variant of myrtle. I think it's black myrtle, something like that it's called. I might be mistaken. Veneers. And it's a 66-inch longbow. This is the only bow like it. It was made by a friend of mine who I'm going to leave anonymous, but if you're watching this video, you know who you are. It's a beautiful bow, and I'm very thankful for it. And he made this, and I'm very just pleased to have it and be shooting it and be taking it into this season. And it's elegant, it's a work of art, and I couldn't be happier with it. It's 50 pounds at 28 inches. So I've upped my poundage just a little bit this year. I've always shot around 45, 47 pounds, but this year I'm upping it to 50 with a longbow. To me, a longbow draws a little bit different than a recurve, and 50 pounds with a longbow is a little bit more smooth than 50 pounds with a recurve. So to me, that extra little bit of weight is not that big of a problem. This bow draws very smooth. D97 string, fast flight string, just some little yarn ball silencers just to take the hum out. It's super quiet bow, doesn't need it, or doesn't need much, just enough to keep the string from humming. And other than that, that's pretty well it. Dished grip. My last hill style bow was a straight grip, and upon trying a dished grip, I really like it. Coming from shooting a recurve and figuring out how to apply proper heel pressure and grip pressure on these bows, these hill style bows, they are a different animal. I really like the dished grip. It's made me far more consistent than I've ever been able to be with a hill style longbow. But I'm looking forward. This is going to be my first hunting season with a hill style bow. My last hill style bow, things didn't quite work out to be able to hunt with it, and it was a little bit more bow than I wanted weight wise. It was a little longer. I actually like the shorter length on this bow. That bow is 68, this is 66. And frankly, this is a smoother drawing bow. And yeah, I love it. It's gonna be great. I look forward to using it this season and putting some venison on the ground with it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I guess why a hill style bow. Surprisingly, there's a lot of guys that can't fully understand why people use hill style bows or why guys like hill style bows. For me, it's the simplicity. This is a D bow. The limbs bend one direction. It's tough. I mean, look how thick the limbs are. You can't twist these limbs. If you did, it would take some talent. So, you know, they can stand some abuse. They can stand some improper stringing techniques, and they don't give. That's why they're a different animal to shoot. They really are a good teacher. This bow has taught me more about focusing on things as far as your shooting that I never used to. Not torquing your wrist, which you can get away with a recurve. This will let you know if you're torquing your wrist. What else? Your grip. This is not a, even though it's dished, it's hardly a locator grip. A locator, true locator grip, it has the cutout that kind of, you know, seats the web of your hand in. This does not. The only thing this dish grip serves a purpose for is because the pad of your hand, the pad of my thumb, this part of your hand, is applied evenly into the back of it, and it just places it in the perfect position to do so. Other than that, you have to really focus on your grip with this bow. It's already pretty well becoming second nature to me. I'm getting to the point I'm grabbing it the same way every time. Arrow flight's good, shooting great, but it's a different animal. It teaches you some things. But as far as reliability is concerned, I really believe not only are traditional bows the superior hunting weapon, even beyond that, I believe longbows, specifically hill style longbows, if you learn to shoot them right, this is the superior hunting weapon. It's tough, it's simple, and it's lightweight. It does what a hunting bow is intended to do without all the fancy stuff, if you will, without all the curves, the bends. It's just simple performance. And it's fast. So anyway, guys, that's all I have. The only other thing I could think of is a bike inner tube. Jason, if you're watching this video, brother, I've been using the bike inner tube for quite a few years now, so thank you for that tip. Just a bike inner tube grip on there. It really helps with grabbing your hand and comfortable to shoot. So that's all I got for this video, guys. That's my bow setup for this year. That's my arrows, that's everything. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward for chasing whitetails here in Missouri. And the last thing that I want to tell you is, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, please consider so. And it's so much more than a relationship. The true gospel, everybody hears the gospel this, the gospel that. The true gospel message is we are sinners, undeserving of any grace. We've sinned against a holy God, and that holy God has provided us with a means and a way of having a right relationship with Him again, so that we can experience eternal life. And that only comes, as John 14:6 says, that only comes, and I repeat, only, through His Son, Jesus Christ, and through our Savior's work on the cross. So all of this stuff is great, guys. I love the bows. I love bow hunting. But there's only one true thing in this life that gives me any hope or any true joy, and that can only be found in Christ. So anyway, guys, get your bows, get shooting. Season's coming, and I'll catch you guys next time.